Next, we're going to need to prepare the video transmitter to go on top of the ESC. So you want to get your video transmitter, and in the same package that the video transmitter comes in, there's this little pin header, is what we call it. And that will go on the bottom of the video transmitter. The top of the video transmitter has this digital display and a button. So we'll need to solder this onto the bottom. So we put the short end into the holes so that the long pins are sticking out the bottom. Then you want to turn on your soldering iron and make sure it's set to at least 380 or 390 degrees Celsius. Then get your solder. And this part can be a little tricky, especially if you're not used to soldering. But you want to hold the stand off so it's straight coming out of the board. Then get your soldering iron. Get a little bit of solder on the tip. And just touch a little bit of solder onto one of the pins so it holds it in place nice and secure. Once it's held in place where it's at a 90-degree angle from the board, then you can set it down, get your solder, and solder the rest of the pins on. Just be careful because there's a lot of small parts on this board. So it should look like this when you're done. Alright, after you've soldered the connector onto the video transmitter, we're ready to install it. Now before installing the video transmitter, it might be a good idea for you to go ahead and conformal coat it. Conformal coating helps protect it in the event you get water inside your drone from either landing in wet grass or snow, or if your drone falls in water. It's a lot more likely to survive if the board is conformal coated. So go ahead and open your conformal coating. You do not want to get conformal coating on the pins, the button, or the RF connector on the inside. So just watch out for those areas and you should be okay. So go ahead and coat the components on the top of the board. It's okay to get conformal coating on the back of the RF connector. Just keep it away from the front. Now that we've coated the top, we can flip it over and coat the bottom. Just be careful not to get conformal coating on the connector pins. Alright, now that that's coated, let's go ahead and set it aside and let it dry for about 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, now that that's dry, we're going to go ahead and install the video transmitter. So what we're going to need are 2 of these round plastic washers that come in your hardware kit. You want to put those 2 washers on top of the 2 front standoffs that are on the front of the flight controller. Then connect the video transmitter down on top of the flight controller and connect the pins into the connector. It'll look like this. Then get 2 M2x4 screws out of your hardware kit. It'll be the smallest screws that are in there. And using your 1.5 millimeter driver, secure the video transmitter onto the stack. So it should look like this when you're done. And that is the complete stack, or the complete flight controller stack, with the ESC, flight controller, and video transmitter. Next, we need to install the SMA pigtail onto the canopy. To do that, you take the nut and washer off of the SMA connector, insert it into the back of the canopy, and then install the washer and nut onto the SMA connector. Then I would use a pair of needle nose pliers to tighten that down. Don't over tighten it because you don't want to crack the canopy. Then plug the MMCX connector into the connector on the video transmitter. Now you'll know that it's connected when it snaps into place. Now with that secure, you can go ahead and put the canopy on, or if you are planning on flying this drone with a GoPro, you can install a GoPro mount. We're just going to go ahead and do that right now because we are going to want to fly this drone with a GoPro, but depending on your personal preference, it's not a required step. So to do this, we take 2 of the red lock nuts and place them into the inside of the GoPro mount. You'll notice that there are depressions that these fit into. So just go ahead and place those in. Using tweezers helps. Just like that. Then you'll get 2 of the provided screws that come with the GoPro mount and place them on the inside of the canopy in the 2 holes that are designed for the GoPro mount. You'll put the GoPro mount into place. You'll notice that the GoPro mount has a notch in it for the lens. That goes towards the front of the drone. So place the GoPro mount onto the screws loosely. Then using your 2mm driver, carefully screw the GoPro mount in until the screws engage with the nuts. It can be a little bit tricky because they're on kind of a funky angle. You might need to use a pair of needle nose pliers to hold the lock nuts in place while you're screwing the screws in. Once you've got it on, you can go ahead and put the canopy on. Like this. Just be careful and make sure that the camera is coming out of the hole on the front of the canopy. Alright, now with the canopy on, we can double check and make sure that we're not pinching our motor wires in the back. And we're looking good. So we can go ahead and put the hardware on to secure the canopy. To do this, we'll need a 5.5mm box wrench to put these 2 red lock nuts onto the back. Let's go ahead and put those on. And tighten them down. Then you'll need a 1.5mm driver and the 2 M2x6 screws out of your hardware kit. And these 2 screws go up front and screw into the camera. Now it's going to be a little bit tricky lining up this hole. You just hold the drone in this position, grab the camera and wiggle it around until you can see the holes line up. Like I said, it can be a little bit tricky getting it right. You can use the tweezers to reach in, gently grasp the camera to wiggle it into place to where you can see the hole line up in there. And go ahead and put the screw in. And don't tighten it down just yet, just get it in there. Now at this point you're going to want to set your camera angle. That means the angle at which the camera is facing on the drone. So for beginners, I would recommend putting it as far down as it will go. That way when you're flying, you're not going to be flying like this, you'll be flying like this. So hold the camera as far down as it will go and just snug these screws down. Don't over tighten, just snug them down. Now at this point, it's pretty much a complete drone, except for the video transmitter antenna. Now it's very important that you always have an antenna on your drone before plugging in power. If you do not have an antenna on and you plug in power, you risk burning out your video transmitter. So go ahead and put your video transmitter antenna onto the drone and get it good and finger tight. Now your drone is ready to be connected and configured on the computer. So if you have any questions, definitely let us know and have fun flying.